What is going on, YouTube? It's Tyler from Mission VR, where it's my mission to bring you guys good quality VR content. Well, listen, I'm back, kind of. No, I really am back. It's been a little while since I've uploaded a video. Only reason why, real world life things kind of sometimes get in the way. Unfortunately, this isn't a full-time career, which I would like it to be, but it's not. So that being said, I am doing a video today. Now, here's the other thing that's going on. My channel, I really wanted to dedicate to highlighting lesser known VR games that I have just had an amazing time playing, that I'm like, wow, I can't believe this game is not more popular. Like, people need to experience this. That's really the whole reason I started my channel, was to experience the unexperienced in VR, and there's a lot of that. Well, man, I'll tell you what, we are in a dead period right now when it comes to virtual reality games. I mean, just scrolling through the Steam upcoming list, it is terrible. I mean, it's just awful. There's nothing. There's like one game, and it's Hubris, is that I'm looking forward to. The rest of them all look like they're tech demos or games that should have came out years ago. And you look at the top selling list and the highlighted VR games, it's the same 10 games from 5 years ago. It's insane to me that there's just not more VR games coming out. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I do think that it's temporary. I hope it's temporary, because boy, do I love virtual reality. It's such a passion of mine. So I don't know, we'll see what's going on. It's been a little bit difficult to upload videos the way I like to. I might need to adapt and adjust a little bit of what kind of content I'm doing. If you guys have any suggestions of things you want to see me talk about in the VR space, you know, I just don't want to be another VR news guy who just does the same thing every week, and I just feel like there's a lot of that out there already, and I wanted to give you guys something a little different, a really honest look at video games from my channel. I mean, I think I've been very fair on all my game reviews, to say the least. I'm definitely not afraid to tell you that a game is a piece of crap, and you know, I've been wrong on some games too. I was wrong on Zenith. I really liked Zenith for the first couple hours, and as I played more, I really didn't like it anymore, and I think that it's a garbage game. To be honest, not gonna lie, I shouldn't say it's a garbage game. It's just not my type of game. The combat's very lackluster in that game, and I don't know. I didn't care for it after several hours. I realized that this game's very boring compared to some of the other VR games I've played, i.e. Legendary Tales, way better VR RPG game. But that being said, guys, today we are going to take a look at the top 10 VR games of all time. My opinion, of course, because I'm sure there's games on here that you're gonna be like, how are you not putting on this list? Well, you know, this is my opinion. These are the games that I've played that I was just blown away by, and I thought that are going to push VR into the future. And some of them are actually AAA games that have VR adaptations. So that's kind of alarming, but also a good thing, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go ahead and hop into our first pick here. All right, so with the first pick on this list, we're going to start with Until You Fall. And this game is absolutely incredible. Probably one of the most perfect and perfected VR games I've ever played. You know, for what it is, I really think that this game deserves to be in the top 10 contenders of all time list, just because it's a ton of fun. There's a lot of replay value there for the scope of the game, for what the game offers. It's a game where you could keep coming back to. You come back to years later and you still play it, because this experience, the adrenaline, the feeling of getting through this and fighting this boss, and just, there's so much there in this game, and it really makes you feel like a badass fantasy dungeon warrior. And I have not played very many games that captured this feeling as well as Until You Fall, and had just the soundtrack, the sounds, the weapons, the play styles. I mean, it really just captured it all. And the only reason it's 10 on this list is just because it just wasn't as big as some of the other games on this list. Because if it had 2 or 3 dungeons, and then they added more weapons and they added DLC, this game might be like top 5 of all time. Like, it's that good. So if you have not played Until You Fall, definitely go pick Until You Fall up. It's still worth it, in my opinion. What an amazing title, and definitely deserves to be on this list. With my number 9 pick, it's actually going to be a AAA VR game. Well, sorry, AAA game that has a VR mode to it, and that is Elite Dangerous. Now, if you've never played Elite Dangerous is one of the Blaze Your Own Trail cockpit, you know, space simulator, where there's a lot going on in this game. It's a huge open galaxy. I mean, millions of places to go, unlimited hours to have really in this game. And whether that's your type of game or not, this game in virtual reality with the HOTAS joystick setup, and that's kind of one of the requirements that I would say, because it doesn't have motion controls. So if you're playing with a keyboard and mouse or like a controller, it's just not the same as if you have the joysticks. And that's kind of why it's this high up on this list as it is, because you need the whole experience. But if you have the whole experience, man, Elite Dangerous slaps in a whole different way. You know, you can get lost for hours and not even realize it. You're exploring space, you're becoming a bounty hunter, you know, you're learning your ship, and the ship ship-to-ship combat in that game. There's a lot of little nuanced things where, you turn your flight assist off for a second so you could spin faster, and you kick it back on whenever you find it behind somebody, and then you light them up with your guns. Really gives you a sense of space dogfighting in a whole different light, and just the scenery at times in that game when you're dogfighting, in a massive combat zone and there's lasers flying everywhere and you're, above the rings of some planet. It just, Elite Dangerous has good music, good exploration, good combat, good atmosphere. It has the whole package. It's a really great game. And then you throw VR into the mix and now you're you're there. You feel like you're a space pilot. So what a fantastic game. But like I said, you need the whole setup to really experience it, but it's a great game. And I think it absolutely deserves to be on this list. All right, with my next pick, we are going to talk about Stormlands. Now, Stormlands. This game could be number one on this list if a couple of different things happened for it. The first one being, for the love of God, I do not understand why they made one simple design choice in this game that really just sets it back. And that was whenever you move your head to look around, your arms like rubber band and fling with you for just a second. It's incredibly disorienting, and I don't understand why the developers who have experience developing VR games chose this method, because it's disorienting as can be whenever this happens. That is really like my only complaint with the game. That, and obviously it was way ahead of its time, and even my massive VR rig over here had a little bit hard time running the game at times. But when it did run, I had to lower the graphics down to like a medium level, which I was still okay with. They still looked pretty good, but whenever I had them on ultra, oh my God, was this game beautiful. I mean, I honestly, it was one of the most beautiful VR games I've ever seen in my life. And like I said, the developers were just ahead of their time. That game coming out, this year, next year, some years from now, I think that it's received a whole different way. But Stormlands is still one of the best VR games I've ever played. The scope, the size of it, the quests, the voice, dialogue, the story, the loot, everything about it is just so good. It's such a good open world RPG sci-fi game with just so much potential, and the movement is so clean through it, and you just feel such a part of this world when you're playing. And it's an amazing game. And like I said, if it wasn't for a couple design choices and the fact that it just really was a game ahead of its time, I think this game's much higher on this list, if not possibly in the number one spot. So it's a really great game, and I still think it's worth picking up at this point if you haven't played it and you still have an Oculus PC, really, because that's the only place you can get it, is you have a Rift that connects to the PC, or you're using a Quest that connects to the PC, and you can get it from the Oculus store. But it's kind of a game that fell off the radar, and it's a sad thing because it's an amazing title. All right, so with this next pick on this list, we're going to talk about Onward. This is a controversial pick for me, and the only reason why I feel that way is because this game really was the founding VR game for me. And I say that, this is kind of a biased pick to some extent, because I bought my touch controllers to play Onward. And like, that's when I decided to, because at first when I bought the Rift at the very beginning, all I had was HOTAS joysticks, and I only played flight simulators because, War Thunder, Elite Dangerous, like I was into those games. I was really big into those games, and that was all I played. And I was like, this is so cool in VR. Like, how cool is this? How cool is this? Well, I saw the touch controllers, and I saw some Onward gameplay. I said, wow, that looks freaking awesome. And when I got it, it felt like I was playing paintball or airsoft in real life, but like in a video game, and I could do it every night in my basement, and it was just amazing. It was an incredible experience, and Onward really was that first time where I got to experience what a VR community is like, and what it's like to play with a team of players and just be communicating and fighting against things. And it was just an incredible experience, one that I'll never forget, one that I hold near and dear to my heart. And then of course I put a bunch of hours into Onward because the game actually was pretty good, and one of the better VR titles out there. It's a really fun game, a really realistic look at VR mil sims, and it was just it was awesomely done. And they kind of set the game back a little bit whenever they released the Quest update. Certainly affected the game in a lot of areas. I think they have since repatched some of that, but the game, I don't think it will ever quite be received the same way as it was when it originally was out there, but it still is a good title. And I think that, it's, if it's one of those things you have some money laying around, I think it's still worth picking up. But Onward's on this list because it touched my heart in a way that a lot of VR games haven't, and I still think it's an amazing title. Okay, so these next two picks are kind of interchangeable, and I say that because I have my reasons for loving one over the other more, I guess. I don't know. Blade and Sorcery and Asgard's Wrath. These two games are different in a sense that they're clearly not, one of them's story driven, one of them's like a physics sandbox. And I will say this about Asgard's Wrath: an incredibly long story, a beautiful world, interesting gameplay mechanics, just a real true VR RPG, a real AAA VR game that came out. And again, it's been years since this has happened, and it's mind-boggling to me that we don't have more games like this. And Asgard's Wrath, such a freaking fantastic title that we got. And the only reason I throw Blade and Sorcery in the mix here is because Blade and Sorcery is still getting updates, and it's still a fantastic title that you can kind of make your own story up to some extent. They've added dungeons now, the combat in Blade and Sorcery, the mods in Blade and Sorcery take it to that next level. That's why I can't decide which one of these games I really like more. I mean, I think in terms of replay value, Blade and Sorcery beats Asgard's Wrath, because once you play through Asgard's Wrath, you're kind of, that's it. At least in my experience. I mean, but Blade and Sorcery, like, you can just keep coming back to, and there's new mods out. Oh, they added, weapons from Attack on Titan, or oh, they added this from Star Wars, and it's like, okay, I want to experience that. Or it's like, oh, somebody modded in an entire map with new enemies and this and that, and like, it's just like you can keep playing it. I remember for a while I was playing Blade and Sorcery and downloading Halo weapons that I was able to look at in VR, and the detail was just so good. It's such an open sandbox game, so I think the replay value is a little higher than Asgard's Wrath, but Asgard's Wrath was one of those games where it's just like, wow, this is an incredible VR game, like just a title that more people need to experience, and it's a shame we just don't get more of those. So these two games are a little interchangeable for me. I have a difficult time picking which one I like more. I think they're both just really great VR titles. They're both titles that have come out years ago, shocker, and they're on this list. We don't have any new modern games on this list at all, which is sad and a shame, but hopefully that changes in the near future. We really need it to, but both these games are fantastic, and you're not going to have a problem picking either one of them up. Okay. Before we get into the big three, at least my big three here, and you guys probably already can guess a couple of the games on that, out of that three, but we're going to talk about a game that, maybe went underneath your radar that I think absolutely deserves to be in the top 5 on this list. It's a game that's just fantastic and should be played by you, and that's Legendary Tales. This game surprised me so much. I was not ready for this game. I was not ready for the scope of this game. I really thought I was going to get myself into a pretty lackluster, mildly okay VR RPG game, with some loot and, fighting some skeletons with some physics mechanics. I was absolutely unprepared for the absolutely in-depth RPG system that came with this game. The in-depth weapon system, the in-depth magic system, the in-depth dungeons. That how long it took you to figure out these dungeons, just the sheer scope of this game. I was completely unprepared for this game. I was completely unprepared for the way this game made me feel. I was completely unprepared to play basically the first game that I ever felt like, wow, this is as close to Dark Souls as I have gotten in a VR game yet. I really enjoyed Legendary Tales. I think this game is incredible. They've added updates since I've played it last. They're continuing to update things. The co-op feature is just so much fun. When you get through a dungeon and you loot a legendary weapon, and it really is that random sense. Like, it's not like, oh, you beat dungeon 3, you get a legendary weapon. Like, no, it has to come from loot. You have to get a drop. You have to get a chest. Things have to go your way, and then when you do get it, and it's a special ability is something super strong that really helps you, because the game is really challenging, actually. Like, you really have, this game is not easy. Like, you actually have to block, you have to parry, you have to actually strategically go about combat. What an incredible game. And my only drawback on this game, and I really, really, really love this game, and the only thing that I would say, and this is one of the complaints that many people had, there just isn't enough enemy variety. There's mostly skeletons in this game. However, that may be true. And I thought that was going to kind of hamper my review of the game. I really did. I thought that was going to be something that I was going to be like, oh, the environments didn't change too much from dungeon to dungeon. The rooms changed and the overall scale did, but, the environments are pretty much, skeletal dungeon most of the time. And, you know, as much as I thought that was going to hamper the game, it really didn't for me. And, you know, I think if they've added anything, and I haven't played the game in a little bit now, so I can't speak on what they've added, but if they've added some new environments and some new enemies, I think this game could be worth whatever they ask for. It's a game that has a lot of replay value potential. You could easily put 40 to 60 hours into this game, and probably more if you're one of those type of players. And it's a game I'm absolutely going to play again, as I've been playing so much Elden Ring lately. I kind of in the mood to play a VR RPG. So Legendary Tales is one of the greatest games I've played, and as you can tell, I'm ranting about it, so it's a good game. So go ahead and buy it. Okay, so my number 3 pick here. I wanted to put this game higher on this list just because of I have the most hours ever on any VR game played on this one, but I couldn't objectively put it ahead of 1 and 2 just because, and you'll see why. But Population 1, number 3. Population 1, got to be a PvP player. You enjoy PvP games, that's your forte. Boy, this game's good. It's just the community sense of, you know, you play with the same people, you end up becoming friends with people, you learn your play styles, you're up late at night, you're up till 2 in the morning, you know, BSing, having a great time, you know, fighting against other people, winning games, grinding to win. It's Battle Royale VR, polished. The game's very polished, it's very smooth, it's a very smooth VR experience, probably the smoothest VR experience I've had. I play some other games now, and like I pick them up like, wow, this is a little janky, or like, wow, this is jittery, because I play so much Pop 1. It's just an incredible game, honestly. I mean, if you like VR Battle Royales, this is the game. I mean, there's not really a lot of other ones to compete with it, but this game. If you like PvP games and you have friends that like to play like PvP and they picked up, you know, VR, this is the game. This is the one. You're going to spend a lot of hours in this game. You know, it takes a lot of skill to get good at this game, and I think that that's a good thing. I think there's something to work towards. You know, if you really want to be good at the game, you can be. It just takes time to learn how to move, what weapons to use, how to use the weapons. It's incredible. The game overall, I think, is an amazing game. I love Population 1 so much. I think that they've done some really good things. There's a new update coming out here in June that adds new weapons. It's about time. They added a massive new portion of the map that actually made me, you know, want to only play that portion of the map because it's just that, it's that good. It's an incredible title. It really is. Population 1 is defining VR for me, and I love it. I'm really into it. I think it's a great game. It's one that if you like I said, if you like PvP games, I don't see how this is a game you don't pick up and you don't enjoy. So overall, Population 1 definitely deserves to be on this list. All right, 1 and 2 here. 2, we're going to start with, obviously, because we haven't hit 1 yet. And I'm going to surprise you guys a little bit, because I think everybody at this point thinks, oh, well, Half-Life Alyx is #1 game. Well, you know, it's not, actually. And not to say that you couldn't make an argument for it, because it's really an absolutely fantastic VR title. That really pushed the boundaries of VR forward. Half-Life Alyx is going to be my number 2, and only because of the experience I've had with the #1 game. Not to say I didn't have an incredible experience with Alyx, it just... the #1 game just has a place in my heart, to say the least. But Alyx is, listen, this game, if you have PCVR and you have not bought this title yet, please just don't even waste your time anymore. Go buy it. It'll show you the caliber of VR. It'll show you what the future of virtual reality games could be, and hopefully will be. And I think that's a big thing, is the will be portion, because we haven't gotten a lot of that. And Half-Life Alyx came out a while ago now, and we ain't got a game that even sniff what that game brought out. And most of the games on this list, we haven't seen a game like that in years come out. So a little alarming. I think the technology's taken a step in the right direction. The Quest is certainly something that can't run Alyx on its own. So I think that that's in VR game developers make no money unless they put it on the Quest. So we're kind of in this weird paradox right now. But overall, boys, Half-Life Alyx is a really, really good game. The mechanics, the weapon handling, the story, to have a VR story that's just really immersive, and then you throw the gameplay and mechanics on top of it. What an incredible title, and it definitely deserves to be on this list, and it deserves to be very high on this list, because Valve was pushing the limits of VR. And you think about if Valve did that now, I mean, the scope of that game could be 2x. It's incredible. It's a really great game. I can't say enough good things about Half-Life Alyx. Okay, we've reached it, the #1 pick. Maybe you don't know what it is, but I'm gonna say it, Skyrim VR. Only Skyrim VR with the mods, though. The the mods that have come out for Skyrim VR have given you full character immersion, where you can see your arms, you know, full body movements like that. A lot smoother of gameplay experience. And again, it's like, okay, well, the #1 VR game of all time is a game that you need to have mods to run. Trust me. Skyrim in itself arguably could make an argument greatest video game of all time. It's in that circle. I mean, it's obviously been rehashed like 6 times now by Bethesda, and people keep buying it for a reason. It's that good. The game is that good. Skyrim was and is arguably one of the greatest video games of all time. And again, you could make the argument it is the best video game of all time. And the fact that it's in VR and you can have a very, very good VR experience if you download a couple mods and just watch a couple YouTube videos on how to get those mods installed and go and play it. This is a game you could easily sink over 100 hours into, and in VR, everything slows down for some reason. So it's like, you know, as fast as like, I remember I completely, the first time I ever got Skyrim, I think I completed the main story in like 25 hours. In VR, I wasn't even like through like a side quest, and it was like 25 hours in. So like, I don't know if it's just because you're just moving in VR and you're looking around and you're like, wow, this is so like, I don't know, just, it's a whole different experience. And, you know, I cannot remember the last time I was really like, I mean, I was lost playing Skyrim VR. Like because I got back into it and I played it originally, I was like, this is cool. And then I discovered the mods and my entire experience changed to the point where I was like, wow, this is a whole new animal. This is a different type of game. And I got lost. I mean, I remember it was hours. I was lost, wandering around, doing things, building my character, you know, playing with magic in the game, and just feeling like I was really a part of that universe. Wow, what an incredible game! This game's insane. I really definitely recommend. I mean, if you haven't bought Skyrim VR and you have a VR, I don't know what you're doing. Go buy it. You know, like I said, download some mods. I know everyone's like, oh, I don't want to download mods. I should not have mods to enjoy a video game. Listen, some of the best video games in the world are as good as they are because of the mods that come out for them. And Blade and Sorcery is only on this list because of the mods. If Blade and Sorcery had no mods, that title, good title overall with vanilla, but it wouldn't even be on, it wouldn't even close to this list. Mods are important. Mods are created by the community to make games better, and Skyrim's mods are insane. They have made the game top notch for me. Again, you could make the argument Alyx should be #1, no doubt. It's fundamentally out of the box, Alyx is #1, but you know, when it comes down to my personal experience, Skyrim VR, #1 game I've ever played in VR, and I really want to see another game top this list, please, because I'm ready for some new VR games. Guys, that's gonna be it for this video today. I appreciate it. It's been tough to be a VR content creator. There's not a lot of new VR news coming out. You know, I don't want to rehash the same things that other VR YouTubers do. I really wanted to do game reviews. I haven't really played a lot of new VR games because there really hasn't been a lot. And, I get some stuff where people will be like, hey, do you want to review my game? And I look at the game and sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to review it because it's not a game that anybody's going to care about. It's not a game that, it's just not, I don't know, it's not for me, and I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to waste you guys that watch my channel's time. I want my content to be, whenever you need a game review and you need to know whether the game's worth getting or not, I want you guys to come to me. That's the whole point of why I started my channel. That was the whole reason of what I'm doing, and there just hasn't been a lot of new VR games worth reviewing. I do have a couple that I think I'm going to take a stab at here, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, guys, I mean, that's where we're at right now, taking a look at the top 10 VR games of all time and really hoping that VR adds some things going on here, because boy, would I love some new games to review for you all. So make sure you guys do drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, comment in the comment section which game you think is your favorite VR game of all time, and I will see you guys in the next one.